Hello, fellow gardeners. Let's talk about a simple method that often gets people talking. You may have heard whispers in the gardening community or perhaps read online about a magical combination. It involves laying down cardboard and then topping it with a rich layer of organic matter, compost, well-rotted manure. The claims are often quite bold. People say it's a foolproof way to get rid of every single weed forever. They suggest it instantly creates the most wonderful, rich, dark soil you have ever seen, almost overnight. It sounds like the perfect solution, a shortcut to a beautiful, productive garden without any of the hard work. These stories paint a very appealing picture, don't they? The idea is that you can take a patch of weedy, unloved ground, cover it with cardboard, pile on some manure, and then simply walk away. When you come back, you are promised a pristine, fertile bed ready for planting your vegetables or flowers. There is no digging involved, no back-breaking weed removal. The cardboard is said to smother everything beneath it, while the manure works its magic from above, feeding the soil and creating a perfect growing medium. So what is actually happening in that hidden world beneath the cardboard? Let's follow the process from the moment you lay it down. Initially, the cardboard's main job is to block out light. Weeds, plunged into darkness. Grass, plunged into darkness. Without sunlight, they cannot photosynthesize. This is the first step in their decline. The cardboard acts as a physical barrier to new growth. The soil below is largely unchanged. The plants underneath weaken and die back. Over weeks and months, the magic begins. Moisture from the ground softens the cardboard. Rain soaks and softens the cardboard. This damp, dark environment invites soil life. Earthworms, slugs, woodlice, millipedes, bacteria, fungi. They nibble the dying weeds. They nibble the softening cardboard. Cardboard, made from wood pulp, is a great source of carbon. Decomposition. Cellulose breaks down into simpler materials. Manure starts to play its part. Soil organisms work both below and above. Earthworms are the true heroes. The most immediate and celebrated benefit of this method is, of course, weed suppression. By blocking out the light, the cardboard mulch effectively kills off most annual weeds and weakens even stubborn perennial ones. This saves you an enormous amount of time and effort that would otherwise be spent on hoeing or hand weeding. It allows you to create a new growing space from a weedy patch or a lawn without the back-breaking labor of digging up turf and roots. This means more time enjoying your garden and less time fighting it. The thick mulch layer also prevents new weed seeds from germinating, giving your chosen plants a wonderful head start without competition. Beyond weed control, the benefits for your soil are truly profound. This method is all about feeding the soil, not just the plants. The decomposing cardboard provides carbon, and the manure or compost provides nitrogen and a huge range of other nutrients. This combination is the perfect diet for the soil food web, the earthworms, fungi, and bacteria that are the foundation of a healthy garden ecosystem. As these organisms thrive, they improve the soil structure, making it light and airy. This allows plant roots to penetrate easily and helps with drainage, preventing waterlogging. At the same time, the organic matter acts like a sponge, holding on to moisture for longer during dry periods. Your plants will notice the difference immediately. They are growing in a medium that is not only rich in available nutrients, but also alive with beneficial microbes. These microbes form symbiotic relationships with plant roots, helping them to access water and nutrients more effectively. This results in stronger, healthier plants that are more resilient to pests and diseases. One of the biggest myths is that this method creates perfect weed-free soil instantly. The truth is that while cardboard is very effective, it is not a magical barrier. Very determined perennial weeds may find a way through. Bindweed, Japanese knotweed, deep-rooted docks may find a way through. They can push through any small gaps where cardboard pieces overlap, or grow sideways until they find the edge of the mulch. It is more accurate to say that cardboard severely weakens these weeds, making them much easier to remove by hand if they do appear. The process is one of control and management, not instant eradication. Another common belief is that the manure layer immediately starts feeding the soil below. While this is partially true, the process is much slower and more dependent on soil life than many people think. Nutrients don't just wash down through the cardboard in the rain. They are actively transported by organisms, primarily earthworms. If your soil is compacted, lifeless, or very dry, the worms will not be active, and the integration of the manure will be very slow. The real magic happens when you create the right conditions: moisture, a food source, and a thriving population of these soil engineers to do the work for you. It's biology, not just chemistry. There is also a myth that the cardboard will steal nitrogen from the soil as it decomposes, harming your plants. This is a misunderstanding of a process called nitrogen immobilization. However, in this method, the cardboard is placed on the soil surface, far from the main root zone of your plants. Furthermore, you are adding a nitrogen-rich layer of manure or compost right on top. The decomposition is happening at the interface between soil and cardboard, and the nitrogen cycle remains balanced. Finally, some people worry that the cardboard and manure will create a slimy, smelly, anaerobic mess. This only happens if the conditions are wrong. However, corrugated cardboard has air channels built into it, and good compost or well-rotted manure is crumbly and full of air pockets. As long as you don't apply the mulch in a swampy, flooded area, the process will remain aerobic, full of life, and will smell sweet and earthy, not sour or rotten. When we talk about using manure, it is crucial to understand that not all manure is created equal. The type of animal and how the manure has been aged makes a huge difference. For the cardboard mulching method, the best manures come from herbivores, cows, horses, sheep. These animals eat plant matter. Their manure is rich in organic material. It provides a balanced range of nutrients, perfect for building soil structure. It's exactly what soil life is looking for. Herbivore manures are generally less concentrated in nitrogen than poultry. The most important factor is the age of the manure. Use well-rotted or aged manure. Fresh manure is far too strong or hot in nitrogen, especially ammonia. Fresh manure can scorch plant roots if used raw. Aging or composting lets ammonia dissipate. Compost heat kills pathogens. Well-rotted manure should be dark. It should be crumbly. It should have a pleasant, earthy smell. Very different from fresh manure. Show contrast. This is the gold standard for feeding your soil. Well-rotted horse manure is fantastic. Composting with straw bedding adds carbon and structure. Cow manure is excellent. It's generally wetter and less fibrous, but wonderfully rich. Sheep manure is drier. It comes in pellets. Very concentrated and nutrient-rich. Poultry manure is different. Very high in nitrogen. Lower in bulky organic matter. Best used as a fertilizer in small amounts, not a thick mulch. Add some to your compost heap to enrich it. A thick layer of poultry manure can be too intense for soil life. Bagged composted manure at a garden center is a good option. It's reliable and convenient. Professionally composted, free of weeds and pathogens. At the perfect stage for garden use. Mixes often give best results. A layer of homemade compost plus well-rotted manure delivers diverse nutrients and microbes. The key, a balanced diet for your soil. Think of manure as a key ingredient in rich organic mulch. A question I am asked all the time is about the safety of the cardboard itself. People see the glossy prints, the colored inks, and the plastic tape on boxes, and worry they are adding harmful chemicals to their precious garden soil. This is a very valid concern. It's good that gardeners think carefully about what they put on their land. The good news, modern cardboard is mostly safe to use. Most inks used today are soy-based or water-based, non-toxic, and they break down in soil. Plain brown corrugated cardboard from shipping boxes is the best choice. Simple, effective, and free of nasties. What about boxes with a shiny or waxy coating? Best to avoid them. The coating is often a thin layer of plastic or wax. It won't decompose with the cardboard. Use them, and you'll be picking little plastic shreds out of your soil for years. If you can peel the shiny layer off, do so. But often it's easier to recycle those boxes and use uncoated ones. The biggest nuisance is plastic tape. Nearly every box has packing tape, glossy plastic labels, and staples. These will not break down in your soil. Take a few extra minutes to remove as much as you can before laying the cardboard. Pull off all the plastic tape and any glossy plastic labels. A sharp knife helps to slice and peel tape more easily. Tedious, yes, but worth it to avoid polluting your soil with plastic. Don't worry about every tiny shred, but remove the big pieces. What about staples? Metal staples will eventually rust and break down, adding tiny amounts of iron. They're not a major concern, but if you can easily pull them out, do so. Most important takeaway, be mindful. Choose plain brown cardboard. Prepare it by removing plastic contaminants. Then you can use this free resource with confidence, building healthy soil without unwanted pollution. Your garden will be better for your careful preparation. Even with a simple method like this, things can sometimes go slightly awry. One of the most common issues gardeners face is the mulch layer being too thin. If you only put down a single thin layer of cardboard and a light sprinkling of compost, you may be disappointed. Persistent weeds can find their way through, and the mulch may break down too quickly before the weeds underneath have fully died off. The solution is simple. Be generous. Overlap your cardboard pieces by at least 6 inches. Measure 6 inches overlap to ensure no gaps. Then apply your compost or manure to a depth of at least 2 to 4 inches. A thicker layer holds more moisture and does a much better job. Another problem can be the appearance of slugs and snails. The dark, damp environment under the cardboard is a 5-star hotel for them. They love the shelter and the decomposing organic matter. While they are part of the decomposition crew, they can also become a pest for your young seedlings. If you find you have a slug problem, there are several gentle solutions. You can go out on damp evenings with a torch to collect them. You can also create habitats for their predators like beetles and frogs. Some gardeners find that a thin layer of sharp grit or wool pellets around precious plants can deter them. Sometimes you might find that the cardboard is not breaking down. If you lift a corner after many months and find it is still dry and intact, the issue is almost always a lack of moisture. The microorganisms that decompose cardboard need a damp environment to work. If you live in a very dry climate or if you apply the mulch during a long dry spell, the process can stall. The solution is to water it. When you first lay the cardboard and spread the compost, give the entire bed a thorough soaking with a hose or watering can. If it remains dry for a long period, watering the bed again can get things moving. Finally, what if those really tough weeds, like bindweed or marestale, start to reappear? This is not a failure of the method, but a sign of a very persistent opponent. When you see a shoot of a perennial weed poking through, don't despair. Because the soil is uncompacted and the weed has been weakened, it is often very easy to pull it out. Sometimes you can trace the root back a long way and remove a significant portion of it. Simply pull it up, patch the small hole with a bit of fresh cardboard and compost if needed, and carry on. It's about persistence. Over time, by consistently removing any regrowth, you will exhaust the weed's energy reserves and win the battle. I have been using this method for many years at Homeacres, my no-dig market garden, and the results continue to impress me. Before and after, weedy patch to thriving vegetables. I remember one particular area that was riddled with couch grass, nettles, dandelions, a real challenge. Instead of digging it all out, we simply laid down large cardboard boxes, overlapping them well. We then covered them with about 4 inches of well-rotted cow manure. We did this in the autumn. For the entire winter, it just looked like a neat dark brown bed. There was no sign of the chaos beneath, so we left it for nature to do its work. By the following spring, it was time to plant. I could push a trowel into the surface with incredible ease. The manure had settled. When I dug a small planting hole for a courgette plant, I found the soil below was dark, moist, and full of earthworms. The cardboard had mostly vanished, pulled into the soil by worms. There was no sign of the couch grass or nettles. They had been smothered and were decomposing, adding nutrients. That summer, the courgettes we planted were incredibly healthy and productive. We had turned a weedy mess into a fertile vegetable bed with no digging. A friend tried this on her allotment, which was covered in thick grass. She felt overwhelmed at the thought of digging it all. I suggested the cardboard method. She was skeptical about the ink and tape, but she removed the plastic tape from a huge pile of boxes. She laid them down and covered them with bagged, composted manure. She planted potatoes that first year, simply cutting a cross in the cardboard, adding more compost and popping the seed potato in. A few months later, she called, absolutely thrilled. The potatoes were growing vigorously with almost no weeds. When she harvested them, the soil was beautifully soft and easy to work. The thick mat of grass had disappeared. The soil was transformed. She said it felt like a magic trick. It wasn't magic. It was feeding the soil life and letting it do the work. Her success gave her the confidence to convert the entire allotment to no-dig, saving her back and improving her soil year after year. Are you ready to give this a try? It's wonderfully simple. First, gather your materials. You will need a good supply of cardboard. Plain brown corrugated boxes are best. Start collecting them from local shops, online deliveries, recycling centers. Remember to remove all the plastic tape and labels. Next, you will need your organic matter. This could be well-rotted manure, your own homemade compost, or good quality bagged compost. A wheelbarrow and a spade or a fork for moving the compost will make the job much easier. Choose the area you want to transform. It can be a patch of lawn or a weedy section of your garden. Before you lay the cardboard, knock down any very tall weeds or tough plant stems. You can use a strimmer, shears, or just stamp on them. This helps the cardboard to lie flat against the soil surface. There is no need to remove the weeds. Now, lay your cardboard directly on top of the ground. Be sure to overlap the edges of each piece by at least 6 inches. You do not want any gaps where light can get through and allow weeds to grow. If you're working on a windy day, place a few stones on the cardboard to hold it in place. Once the cardboard is in place, it is time to add your top layer. Spread your compost or well-rotted manure evenly over the entire surface. You are aiming for a depth of at least 2 to 4 inches. A deeper layer of 4 to 6 inches is even better if you have enough material. This top layer serves as the food for the soil life, the mulch to suppress new weeds, and the growing medium for your plants. Once it's all spread out, give the entire bed a good watering to settle everything and start the decomposition process. What you do next depends on the season. If you do this in the autumn, you can simply leave the bed over winter and it will be perfect for planting in the spring. If you want to plant right away, you can. For larger plants like squash or tomatoes, cut a small hole in the cardboard, add a trowel full of extra compost into the hole, and plant your seedling into that pocket. For smaller seeds or plants, the 4-inch layer of compost on top is deep enough to sow directly into. And that's it. You have started your no-dig journey, saved your back, and begun the wonderful process of building a truly healthy, living soil. Happy gardening!